Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. For this show, I'm going to talk about credit reports, how they've just gone through the roof, the costs. Also going to be talking about there's 15 state attorney generals suing HUD and USDA. Wildfires in LA and trigger lead. What's a trigger lead? What's going on with trigger leads? So let's jump right into the cost of credit reports. So since 2022, the cost of credit reports have gone up 400%. I remember credit reports used to cost $15. And if there was a joint, two applicants, it would be $25. So credit reports through the roof because now they're costing $70. Up to $90 to $100. So they have really jumped. And now Congress may get involved. They're talking about it because FICO scores, and this was developed 30 years ago to help the mortgage industry, where they turned around, they read the credit report, and they actually turned it into a scoring system. And FICO, which is the Fair Isaac Corporation, 30 years ago, they came up with a scoring system, and all mortgage companies use the same thing, which makes sense. You pretty much have to have that, because if you went to one mortgage company versus another mortgage company and they pulled your credit score and they were all using different standards, nobody would know, what a true credit score was. So everybody uses the same thing. But now Congress is saying that FICO has a monopoly. And the costs are going through the roof because everybody has to go through FICO to get their credit scores. So there's a lot of talk about that. We're going to see what goes on. But just in general, everything's going up. Your grocery, gasoline prices, home costs, closing costs, recording fees, everything's going up. And guess what? The credit reports are going up as well, through the roof. 400% increase. Now, trigger lead. What is a trigger lead? I get people yelling and screaming all the time. We will pull credit on somebody, and then all of a sudden, an hour later, they'll get bombarded with phone calls. They'll get 100 phone calls a day, starting from 9 o'clock in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night. Just one phone call after another, after another, after another. And they're being called from other mortgage companies. Now, what is going on? Why? What is that a thing? Well, the credit bureaus are selling the fact that somebody just applied for a mortgage. So the credit bureaus are selling that information to other mortgage companies, and then the mortgage companies have automatic dialers. They're just unmercifully calling, and that lasts for about 3 or 4 days of bombarded with calls, hundreds and hundreds, and people are going crazy with that. So last year, they were supposed to put in to one of the appropriation bills relief for this mortgage lien for the average individual. So what they were going to do is they were going to limit that you could only have 3 phone calls as opposed to 300 phone calls. So it was really going to limit it. Well, for whatever reason, it was stripped out, it was taken out, but now they're re-talking about it again to put it in to another bill to get it passed. We don't know if it's going to happen. I guess the lobbyists for the credit industry is really strong, but we will see what is going to transpire as in reference to these trigger leads. Now, you can opt out. There is an opt-out option, but you can Google, the opt-out option. Matter of fact, we will put it on the pod how you can opt out, and you can do that before you start home shopping, so you're just not completely tortured by all these phone calls. Now, 15 state attorney generals, they are suing HUD and USDA. And what they are saying is to build a new construction, and this is for new construction homes, that to implement these new energy efficiency recommendations, or not recommendations, things that you would have to do, would cost an average person $31,000 more in buying a home. And the big issue is affordability. A lot of first-time home buyers and just buyers in general with the higher interest rates are sitting on a sideline because they just simply can't afford to buy a house. The cost of the house, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, is just too much for an average working person. So we're going to see what that suit, how that's going to work, if these state attorney generals are going to win and stop these higher standards as far as that is concerned. Now, these wildfires, tragic. crazy. I mean, it literally looks like a war zone in some areas. And what's the most amazing thing, you'll see like the whole block and there will be one house in the middle standing. Like it just, no rhyme or reason, absolute craziness of what's going on out there. But what are the impacts for the real estate industry, the mortgage industry? Now, as far as insurances have been rising. It's been going, through the roof. And that's nationwide, but really, particularly in California and also in Florida. They were been hit with a lot of hurricanes, and you have all these wildfires in California, and you have a lot of these insurance companies leaving the market, so the costs have been going up. Well, guess what? These costs are going to just go up even higher. You probably will see some more insurance, carriers, get out of California. So that's going to be tough for affordability. We already mentioned credit. Bureaus are, reports are more where we talk about housing costs going up, everything associated to housing going up, higher standards, and now you're going to have the insurance being higher. Now, as far as mortgage insurance, they're talking about, hey, maybe, mortgage insurance. Now, mortgage insurance, when you don't put 20% down, you need to buy the mortgage insurance, and that's just part of your total payment. That may not take too much of a hit, because if you're looking in like Malibu, the average medium house sale, $7 million. Well, these people aren't. It's not a regular, conventional Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan. The lowest is Brentwood. The average or the medium sale price of Brentwood is just under $1 million. So, and then you have, towns in between, but I think the medium is around 3 million altogether. So a lot of these people were doing, private loans, jumbo type loans. So mortgage insurance should be okay. Now the rental market, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy because there's so many displaced people. So, what's going to happen with that rental market? I would imagine, rental prices are going to go, even higher with that. And then you're going to have a lot of people move. People, once a disaster happens, it doesn't matter if you're in Florida with a hurricane, it doesn't matter with these wildfires. Once you lose everything, everything's dead, you're devastated. You may turn around and say, you know what, I can't take it. I'm out of here. So it's really going to be interesting what's going to happen with rebuilding of Los Angeles and, how many people move, because there were a lot of people moving out anyway because it was, so expensive to live there. So it's really going to be interesting what happens. But of course, we have our prayers out to them. We wish no harm to anybody out there. And, even though, heck, if you have a $6 million house, who cares? I mean, you're a person, you have feelings, just like, the $1 million house. I know a lot of people are thinking, I have a $200,000 house, they're rich. No. Out there, average Joe, the cost of a house is $1 million, and that's average Joe. That's not a rich person. That's somebody who's just getting by. So I just wanted to cover some topics about credit reports, how they're going through the roof. The trigger leads, hopefully this year will be the year that they'll actually pass something, with those trigger leads. Construction costs, you hear it about all the time, how the cost of homes and getting more inventory on the market is difficult because all the rules, regulations, zoning, and the cost to build, just keep on going up. And a lot of it is these regulations that they're implementing as well to hold everything else. And then our prayers to people out in Los Angeles. Hopefully, nobody else, dies, and hopefully these, wildfires, stop and they can, be a little bit smarter with water and everything else. Well, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Hope you enjoyed the show. I will see you next week. Have some really good guests coming up, but I figured, hey, let's just, bring up some topics that are newer topics relevant for right now. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe. Need all the subscribers I can get. Like the show, really helps out the algorithm and everything. And leave me a comment. Tell me some topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Remember, the show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed the show.